So I remember seeing this at the time that it happened, and there was just so much going on that we didn't actually have a time to process how hilarious and brilliant this is. So I wanted to bring it back to your attention. So essentially, there was an anti-Israel protest, and as you can see in the corner of the screen, if you zoom in on that picture, it says "Rabbis for a ceasefire." So a bunch of Reform rabbis went to a protest against Israel, and they held a prayer at the opening of a rally, which was attended by Rashida Tlaib, no less. And then, in what seemed like a bit of a divine coincidence, they read the Torah portion of the week that they're reading that week, which they chose to do there, just happened to say some things in it which, let's just say, contradict the narrative they're trying to push about what Judaism says about the situation. And what's fascinating and hilarious is that the person reading the Torah scroll whispers these verses. You'll see she speaks and then whispers the things that she's worried, doesn't want people to hear. Have a watch and then I'll tell you what it is that she's saying. So what was she saying? What were those words she's whispering? It says as follows: "Live in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your offspring I will give all these lands," talking about the land of Israel, "and I will uphold the oath that I swore to Abraham your father." You literally couldn't make this up. They're worried no one's going to catch on. I mean, this is brilliant. One of the things I found in our times is that just as the evil becomes, more extreme and clearer, so too does the truth of the situation for those who are willing to actually look at things. And it's just comical. And I think, God is being crystal clear to us for those that wish to see it. And, I never really managed to get my head around or understand those who say Zionism and Judaism are separate. Judaism is just a religion. It's not about a nation with a plot of land. I mean, are you insane? Have you read the Torah? Have you read the Bible? It is literally the story of a people going to their promised land of Israel. In fact, the first of the 5 books of Moses, Genesis, the radical focus, the essential focus with God and Abraham, Isaac and Jacob is about that he will give a land to them and their descendants. It's not actually even about the law and the Torah and the commandments. It's about this plot of land. Only later we much more introduced to this whole concept of the Torah in the Exodus, and the Torah being the constitution that will make up this nation state of the Jews in the land of Israel. But it's literally on every page. And if you can't see that, and if you want to make a separation and say this is not about a nation with a plot of land, it's on every page of the Torah. It talks about the nation of Israel, the children of Israel, the descendants. I will give you this land, and you shall be a light unto the nations. You shall be a holy nation, a nation of priests. It's frankly willfully absurd to create a distinction between the two. Now, when I say, what do I mean by Zionism? Zionism, I simply mean the idea that the Jewish people have a right to live in the land of Israel, their ancient historic homeland, and have self-determination there, and that right is granted to them as an eternal inheritance by God. If you're saying that's not Judaism, then we're reading 2 different Torahs. Now, there are some who say, well, it's just that Jews don't have the right to be in that land now because they're in exile. And what do they? People think that's the ultra-Orthodox view. Actually, it's only a tiny, tiny, tiny minority within the Orthodox world that think that way, the ultra-Orthodox world. Most of them, while they might not necessarily at the time have been the first on the front lines of saying, let's, restore sovereignty here, they're not campaigning against it, and they believe we have a right to support our fellow Jews in the land and to support the security of our fellow Jews. But the controversy lies in the fact that the Talmud says that the Jews swore an oath not to conquer the land by force, basically implying until the Messiah comes. And there was another oath, it says, that was sworn by the nations, which they wouldn't overly persecute the Jews in exile. Now, first of all, the nations have clearly broken that oath because there's been incomparable persecution to the Jews in exile. But secondly, the Jews didn't conquer the land by force. The land, they started returning, they always maintained a presence there. Most of us were displaced, yes, by the Roman exile. But we purchased land legally, not through conquering. And then the nations of the world, the United Nations, they granted the Jews, consented to the Jews restoring sovereignty in the 1947 UN partition plan. And the displacements that occurred and the wars that fought just because the Jews were defending themselves, not conquering, because there were people trying to wipe them out and throw them into the sea. That, by the way, is the root of the whole Nakba thing. The Nakba originally actually just meant the fact that they couldn't destroy the Jewish state, not that people got displaced. Later, they twisted it into being about all the displacement. But that never would have happened had they just said, okay, so we'll accept a Jewish state and there can be an Arab state alongside it. And they say, well, no, we have the right to the whole plot of land. Well, I'm sorry, the Jews obviously have a strong, if not stronger claim to the land than you do. Definitely stronger claim. And that's obviously not what they wanted to do, because had they won in 1948, then the map would have looked like this. There'd be no free Palestine. All the Arab nations would just conquer a chunk of the land. But yes, ultimately, what they're saying is the anti-Zion, the tiny sect of religious anti-Zionists, they hold, no, but we still don't have the right to do this because we're in exile. But listen to what they're saying. Even though I disagree with their evaluation, they're saying that we're in exile, and in exile, Jews are second-class citizens and they're meant to be persecuted. So they're acknowledging that anti-Zionism is a form of anti-Semitism. They just think it's something that the Jews have to experience for now. And don't forget that they believe one day we will re-establish sovereignty in the land of Israel. So really, there's not much there that the Israel critics can get their teeth into if they want to look at things truly objectively. But then again, they never want to look at things truly objectively, as was demonstrated very clearly by this video that I just showed you. Before we wrap up, I want to share something important with you. The entire anti-Israel movement is built on one central accusation, that in 1948, Israel stole the land, and ever since, Palestinians have simply been resisting. But what if everything we've been told about this story is untrue? What if the real history of 1948 shows not Arabs being forced out, but Jews, while seeking peace, having to fight for their survival against a genocidal enemy that willed its destruction long before Israel's re-establishment? Have a watch of the trailer for our new, groundbreaking and essential documentary entitled What Really Happened in 1948. And if you want to see the full film, just click the link in the video description. In 1948, the world witnessed the rebirth of the Jewish state, the State of Israel. A moment celebrated as a miracle of survival and self-determination after centuries of persecution and the horrors of the Holocaust. Yet for decades, this event has been twisted into a narrative of theft and catastrophe, with the so-called Nakba portrayed as Israel's original sin, where Jews allegedly stole Arab land and displaced innocents in a premeditated act of ethnic cleansing. But what if this story is fundamentally inverted? What if the cause and effect are the other way around? Not Israel aggressively seizing territory and Arabs responding in self-defense, but Arabs, driven by deep-seated hatred, rejecting the Jews' legal and historical rights to live in their ancestral homeland and waging a genocidal war long before Israel's re-establishment. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to uncover the unvarnished truth about 1948, the centuries of pogroms and anti-Semitic violence that set the stage, the Arab leaders' explicit calls for extermination, and the defensive war Israel fought to secure its existence. We'll challenge the pervasive lies head-on, showing how Arab rejection of peace wasn't about creating a Palestinian state, but about denying Jews the right to live at all. From the Nazi-allied leader of the Arabs in Palestine, the Mufti al-Husseini, to the forgotten occupations by Jordan and Egypt, when no Palestinian state was even considered, this is the story of a conflict rooted not in displacement, but in whether the Jews deserve to live in their homeland. Join us as we debunk the myths with facts, confront the historical record fairly but firmly, and reveal why 1948 was not an act of aggression, but a righteous response to annihilation. This is what really happened in 1948. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.